Hi, this is Myra with Boutique Paint. Today we're going to be working on more Valentines. I already went ahead and did a dam with hot glue across my where I want to stop my resin pour. I want to paint some mica powders in on the wings. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to do a light dusting. I just want a little bit of a two-toned effect with her. So I'm going to do the wings and the lower part of her. And I'm going to leave the neck and the face alone for right now, because I'm going to go ahead and put some of the powders into the resin when I pour it, so it will get coloration at that point for the face. So next, what I want to do is I want to mix up my resin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just pour one of the parts. It doesn't really matter which one you do for this, but we just want to get the powder mixed in nice and good to one of the parts of resin. And because it's really cold out here, I have lots of work time just because of the temperature. It's like 55 degrees out here, which is a little chilly. So there's two reasons. You have more work time when you just do it with the one part, but also when you start mixing, it gets kind of milky and it's really hard to tell if it got mixed in the chunks, like the chunky part. Sometimes, the moisture gets in there and it creates like little crystal chunky things, not crystal, but so that helps break that down, because you can see it. Make sure we get the same amount. I am using my finger as my measuring because I can't see the little lines on there super well. So I just keep my finger usually where I think how much I want to pour. Okay, I can feel it starting to warm up. Go ahead and pour. And I'm going to start with her face. But also, I don't want to pour this all the way to the rim. I want this to be a shallow pour. I want all the elements to it, but I want a shallower pour than I would normally do. So I went ahead, because it was so cold out here, and put this on the resin curing mat. I have found that using this on the temperature of 122 is the optimum way to use this pad. It does go up hotter. I found that I got bubbling, like almost blistering on the edges. And I just think also for whatever you have underneath, it keeps it a little bit safer. It's got these ridges here, or little riser things, so that you're not directly on whatever surface. But that being said, you get up to 145 and you could damage whatever's underneath. I'm going to go ahead and get this pulled. Let's see what she looks like. Very nice. All right, that's exactly what I wanted her to look like. It's kind of cool. It goes into the clear of the hot glue. Kind of a cool effect, just saying. Okay, but we got to get that off because we're not needing that part. And then I'm going to just trim her up a little bit with some cutters. Bring it in our cloche, les cloches. My very wacky not Spanish. Oh my goodness, my very wacky French. What I do is I want to embed her into this mold. And so that's why I made her the size that I made her, but I also wanted her to be a little thinner so she's not poking out the backside. So what I want to do next is I'm going to do my clear resin to pour inside this mold. And get my cups ready here. The nice thing about this pad is it's silicone also, so if you get any gooey resin on it, or when it hardens, you can just peel it off, or you can just wipe it off. All right, there's that one. Okay, I'll get this poured into our cup. And one of these is a little thicker than the other, at least with this brand. I'm using a new brand. My other stuff that I had lots of it, and it had gone bad. The color had changed on it, which, you know, if you're wanting a clear product, that doesn't help you. All right. And I was told on this one, you stir slowly. So for me, who is impatient, this is not my favorite part. But we don't want a lot of bubbles. And because this takes so much more time to cure, it's a 24 to 48 hour cure time on clear. And that's one of the reasons why I got the mat, because it was like, I don't want to sit around waiting for this to cure. I'm just too impatient with my projects. And so I thought, if this works, this is going to be awesome. And it does work, and it works really well. And that's why even turning the heat down on this, it still cures super fast. It's like a 2 hour, with the molds at least, it's a 2 hour cure, which isn't bad compared to 24 to 48 hours, depending on temperature and humidity and whatnot in your area. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to start pouring into the mold, but I don't want to pour all the way because I'm going to embed my little angel in there. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on getting some of the bubbles out of where I just poured, excuse me. So next what I want to do is I want to put a little bit of the resin on her. Because she has so many highs and lows, when you put her in there, what happens is bubbles are created around her. So my son pointed out, well, you got to, because he works with people that work in with resins, but with woodworking, he said you got to coat her. Now you could either do this with a paintbrush, or you could do it the way I'm doing it and make a mess. Let's see if I can have her over that a little bit. And yes, it is messy, but it's kind of a necessary part of doing this, I have found. All right, I think I've got her covered. So now what I'm going to do, oh, but I've got some bubbles now I see in my thing again. So let's work on getting those out. And now we're going to flip her over and embed her. So you can see she's in there, but I'm not completely filled. The mold isn't filled. So let's go in and start filling up the mold. Just kind of doing it around her. I've got the sun coming right in to my eyes. I tried to put paper towels up. It's just the angle of the sun since I moved my table last year. I haven't gone through the winter yet with it or I did it last summer, but I haven't gone through the winter with it in this place in my studio, and it's coming right in on me. It's really kind of a pain because it's hard to see. Now I don't want her to go all the way through, so I pushed her in, but now I'm going to just kind of pull her up a little bit and hope her head is not against the back or the front. So I have already sprayed these with a high gloss top coat, and I'm sorry I did that in the fact that you can't see that it comes out kind of with it almost looks like an opaque film over the top, but it just needs to be sprayed so that you can see through the piece. So what I want to do next is I want to back this with some paper, and I'm going to use tissue paper, and I'm just using some Mod Podge on this. Get a pretty good coat on there. Now you need to let this dry. Make sure it's completely secured to the back. I'll flip it over just so you can see it. So I did hit it with the hairdryer and it seemed to work just fine. So now I'm going to go over the top of it with some of the Mod Podge. So now the back is dry from putting the Mod Podge on there. And I'm just going to go along here. You could either, I'm just going to tear it for now, and then I'll sandpaper it if I need to. I'm just going to go along the edge here. So you're just going to take your sanding block and go away from the paper and just kind of go along the edges, and it cleans it up. I missed a little spot there, but it's going to be okay because I'm going to paint that part. DIY's Petticoat Pink. So we're just going to give the band down here a little bit of color. So next what I want to do is I want to take some DIY Golden Ticket, and I'm taking a foam brush, and I want to be careful not to have too much on the brush. So I'm going to just take a paper towel and kind of dab it and just kind of play with it so that I don't get too much on the piece. So I'm going to do this little bottom area first, and I'm just going to kind of dry brush this. And then the same thing with the top. Next step, I want to put a back to this. Now there's many ways that we could probably do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a popsicle stick, and I'm going to cut it. And then I'm going to cut the other end also so it's flat. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take some ribbon, and you could use your Mod Podge for this. You could use the hot glue. I'm going to go ahead and use my Mod Podge. It's still out. I'm just going to cover it on both sides. I'm going to lay it down on this ribbon. Oops. Hopefully straight. There we go. I'm going to bring the ribbon and cover the other side. This part I'll use the hot glue gun. So I've got this bow here, and we'll just put a little bit of glue And I'm doing it up in the glass area, what would be considered the glass area of the cloche, just below our little angel here. So that is her. And you can have her standing just like that. If you have any questions about any of the products I used, you can go to our website at www.boutiquepaint.com. And thank you so much for joining me.